Honestly, this video is probably just gonna age like milk. Halo has always been a cornerstone of gaming history, but what if I told you that the future of games like Halo could be in danger? Not because of the gameplay, not because of the graphics, but maybe that might happen under the new management, but because of the very way we play them. Physical media is something we don't talk much about these days, although right now it does seem to be having somewhat of a comeback. With the total normalcy and conveniences of digital distribution, physical copies of games are becoming less common and more expensive. But what does that mean for the preservation of these games? For Halo, for every game we cherish, the shift away from physical media is something that I would consider kind of a serious issue. It's been a bad few years between Best Buy, Target, and other major retailers removing entire DVD and Blu-ray displays for a bunch of books people don't really want to read. And what makes you think that the physical game sections aren't next? We've already seen them downsized in Target this year. At this point, half the time, our physical discs are just codes disguised as ownership, and many major games today have undergone the choice to skip a physical release altogether. In today's digital market, games are often cheaper up front. You download the game, and it's ready to go. But what happens when the game is pulled from a digital storefront? What happens when the servers go down, or a company just decides to stop supporting a game or platform? Without physical copies, your access to these games is tied to someone else's servers. That means the true cost of a game isn't just the price you pay up front, it's the cost of losing access down the road, and you have no control over that. So why are companies moving away from physical media? The image and artwork has never been better, but the bottom line is, physical copies take up space, require printing, and have a whole mountain of licensing and overhead costs to get production out the door. Digital downloads, on the other hand, are easy to distribute, don't take up physical space, and can be updated and sold on the fly. I'm looking at you, Spider-Man on PS5. Literally, what's going on with Peter? But this convenience really does come with a catch. Fewer physical copies mean fewer people are holding on to tangible pieces of gaming history. Sure, digital sales are easier, but as the years go by, fewer people will have the actual media and the instinct to actually try out these older games. Imagine a future where you can't just dust off an old Halo disc to pop in your console, but where the games you loved are locked behind a digital wall or removed entirely. And this is where the re-release culture comes into play. Because let's address the elephant in the room with the Halo Master Chief Collection. While it brought an updated experience to fans, and a convenience to pop in and out of every different game, the process of remastering and re-releasing games isn't as simple as just upgrading the graphics. It changes the experience. Suddenly, the game you grew up with isn't the same game anymore, and it kind of feels more like you're shuffling through an iPod than you are playing an album. You lose the sense of nostalgia, and the way it was the first time you played it. With every single game, developers really want to curate your pacing and overall experience as you hit moment to moment, but with MCC, you're kind of just thrown into the next thing over and over again. So it's great if you've experienced these games before, but if this was your first time playing it, I just don't think you're hitting the same stride. Even the loading screens are sometimes a dead giveaway to the next level. Sure, I've played these games 100 times, but if this was your first impression of the story, why would I want to be given a preview of each unfolding moment? In the case of MCC, things like matchmaking issues and changes to the overall sound design left many fans frustrated. A re-release, while intending to improve, can often end up altering the very thing that made the original special, which has now been seemingly all but abandoned from Microsoft moving forward. But this isn't a problem just unique to Halo. Look at the re-releases of Silent Hill 2 and 3 that came out on 360 and PS3. Not the masterpiece Bloober just dropped, but the HD re-release of the original titles. These were groundbreaking games at the time, defining the atmosphere and storytelling of this era. But that re-release had technical issues, new casting, missing content, and strangely altered visuals, leading to a somewhat frustrating experience for both new players and fans of the original. I love me some Troy Baker, but Joel has no business voicing James Sunderland. That was awful.
Okay, I got it. I'll be careful.
I'm not lying.
In the end, this is more than really just nostalgia. It's about preservation. When a game is re-released and altered too much, it's almost like a book being rewritten or taken off the shelf entirely. It's not the same story. And when a game is only available digitally or through ROMs, we almost lose the ability to preserve it in its original form. A re-release might not be a bad thing, but it can introduce errors, bugs, and even change the soul of the game. And let's face it, humans like to hold their memories. It means more when the piece you're so connected to can be held whenever the moment strikes. Physical media is the only true way to preserve a game. It's the last bastion of ownership. When you buy a physical copy of a game, it's yours to keep. No matter what happens to the servers or the digital storefronts, you can put it on your shelf and it's still there in its original form, unaltered by the updates or re-releases, for the most part. This is the protection of a time and place in gaming history that you can always return to. And when we stop making physical copies, we stop preserving that history. Physical media is something I've always cared about when it came to music, film, and television, but I think going forward, collecting pieces from an era of gaming I considered the golden era really is starting to take a priority. My buddy Alex and I have been going to the swap meet and becoming regulars at our local flea markets and thrift stores. And the best part about this new adventure is the returning feeling of the hunt, something I almost forgot about being a media collector all these years. Buying an old title on Steam is convenient, but it's also a lot easier to leave in my backlog when there's no tangible experience involved with the purchase. How many times have you added a movie or show to your Netflix watch list, only to find yourself forgetting it's even there? There are so many cool collectibles and tiers of past Halo releases that I've been toying around with the idea of starting a series focused around collecting, flipping up, and being able to make those purchases that I never could when I was a kid. And I've already been lucky a few times over the last year finding a few items. The hunt is a massive part of what makes me, and the reason that I love this shit at all. Sure, there is recent talks of disc rot and other negating factors to the idea of collecting disc media, and supposedly cartridges are supposed to die too. But if you handle your collection correctly, most of this stuff will last well beyond your lifetime. They were saying the same thing about Laserdisc back in the 70s, but most of those that are well-maintained products are still running today. It's a very common concern, but nothing lasts forever if you don't take care of it. Like your knees. I can tell you've already been sitting there for too long. Go stand up, stretch them bitches out. Let's make sure that games like Halo and all classics we love don't fade into obscurity because of digital monopolies and re-releases that don't mean to but might erase their past. Honestly, this video is probably just gonna age like milk. Maybe this is just some old man yelling into the void. Because realistically, consoles eventually are gonna resemble something that looks closer to a Fire Stick from Amazon. Streaming your latest library from some unknown location instead of essentially a convenient PC set up in your living room. It's sad, really. But from a market standpoint, it mostly makes logical sense. But maybe, just maybe, this last breath of physical media can hold on to life for just a little while longer. It's not 2004 anymore, but every time I pop in that Halo disc, it is again.